You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Bold and the Beautiful fans. So we have Carter Walton and Brooke Logan on the cusp of making despicable betrayals against people they say they love and respect on the CBS soap. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt. And let's dive into what these two do that changes everything on B&B. But first, please subscribe if you're not following us. So we've got Carter and Brooke having these big pivotal moments this week that will determine if they are going to be villainous betrayers in this storyline or try and find another way to resolve the issues facing them. And in both cases, Hope Logan is the one pressing them to break bad and make some terrible decisions, some unethical decisions. For many, many years on B&B, we've watched Stefy get the better of Hope, sometimes through devious means, locking her in a gondola. I mean, there's things, right? And in the Hope and Stefy rivalry over Liam, Steffi's not always been the culprit. I will say that. For instance, when Hope got pregnant while Stefy was still recovering from giving birth to her and Liam's daughter, Kelly, and she and Liam were in the process of reuniting, and then that was very messy. But overall, Hope's generally tried to be on the right side of things, or to at least be perceived that way. In this case, though, it's kind of hard to justify what she's doing, even if you believe that Stefy was truly wrong in the way that she handled terminating Hope for the Future and firing Hope from Forrester Creations. And I know people are very divided. They're either Team Stefy or Team Hope. And that's kind of the struggle in this storyline because both are acting badly. But I feel like the scales are tipping, if Hope really goes through with this thing, and it looks like she might. So I want to talk first about Carter Walton. A lot of the way that he's been talking to Ridge and Steffy in these recent episodes is way out of bounds for the way any employee should talk to their boss, no matter how long they've been on the job. In a nutshell, Carter on a recent episode said he was speaking out of respect, then proceeded to be really disrespectful. And then Stefy turned around and called him out on it. And then Carter demanded that Ridge override Steffi's decision to fire Hope. And, right off the bat, Carter knows Ridge only owns 20% of Forrester Creations, and Stefy owns almost 38%. Ridge does not have the power to override Stefy, even if he disagrees. And once again, Carter called out Stefy for making things personal, while in the next breath, Carter tried to leverage his own personal relationship with Ridge to manipulate him into doing what he wanted. And Carter reminded Ridge they're best friends and like brothers. And then the next word that he used was what really got to me. Carter referred to himself as a partner. Sorry, no. You're the COO. You're a paycheck earner. You're not a shareholder, no matter how long you've been there. That's how companies work, So that was a huge red flag for Ridge and Stefy. And then Carter laid into Stefy saying she's wrong and he won't let it happen, threw down the gauntlet hard. And that's when Carter began losing Ridge, when he was disrespecting Stefy, demanding that she reinstate Hope in her line, and said that basically the two co-CEOs need to do what he wants and embrace this House of Forrester concept. And that's when Stefy lost it, and Ridge pretty much seemed done at that point as well. She told Carter they're not doing it. And if you remember, Ridge, Eric, and Stefy are all in agreement. They don't want it, and they own the company. So Carter doesn't care what they think at this point. And the bottom line is, sometimes your ideas are rejected and you suck it up, or he could leave and take it someplace else with him, And then when Stefy called Hope the B word for the last time in that conversation, because she did it a couple of times, Ridge actually gave a little head nod, like he was in agreement, and just was like, that's where he was. It was like Carter had irritated Ridge to the point that he was locked in with Stefy in total agreement with the firing. And honestly, I think Ridge's primary issue was just blowback that he was facing with Brooke. And then it was like this switch flipped with Carter when Ridge said, "We're done, let's move on." He closed the subject. That made clear that Hope's firing is set in stone. And to me, it was Carter and his pushiness that pushed Ridge into that mindset. So Carter gave them the LLC docs to sign. And in the last moments of the episode, after Stefy had signed both of the sets of papers, Ridge noticed Carter's name was listed as the LLC manager. And then Ridge asked about it and said, "What's going on? Why did you sign this?" I'm quite confident before the end of the week that Carter is just going to flat out lie to him, because clearly Ridge doesn't understand the legalese and the tax issues, and he trusts Carter. And once Carter tells him something like he has to be the manager to file the papers or to file the taxes or something like that, I think Ridge is going to go ahead and sign. So that puts the tool for this ultimate betrayal in Carter's hands. He can go ahead and file the documents, make the LLC official, and then he and Hope can take over, force the Forresters aside, and do what Carter wants. And Hope is going to push him to do it, just like she has been. And it's those papers that also present Brooke with an opportunity to betray Ridge and Eric or come clean and do the right thing. And Carter takes what I assume are the signed papers back to Hope, and he tells her Stefy and Ridge won't listen, and he's got to, save Forrester Creations from their terrible decision makers, save it from the people who actually own it. Meanwhile, Brooke is outside the cabin listening in, and already she's on high alert when Hope was cagey with her about saying time's almost up for Stefy and Ridge to make this right. And when Brooke said, "What does that mean?" Hope covered and then changed the subject. So already Brooke is keeping the big secret that Hope is warming Carter's bed. Despite Hope tying her mom's hands and insisting she keep the secret, Brooke keeps fighting for her. She went to Deacon and told him Hope's side, and then he turned around and tried to convince Fenn to back off and get Stefy to back off. That failed, and then Brooke went over and tried to pressure Fenn into calling Stefy off, and all she did was aggravate him. And now Brooke is put in another horrible position by them. I can see her sitting on the Carter and Hope sex secret because that's their private business. But, they can't use it as a defense against her firing if they're keeping it a secret. But it is their secret if they choose to keep it, I think, because it is personal. But this secret takeover plan that Brooke hears, that's too much to keep quiet. There is no way she should sit on this. If she does not warn Eric and Ridge what Carter's planning to do, Brooke is treading into deep, dark, and stormy waters. There is no way to justify keeping that secret. The Hope and Carter thing, she can say that was theirs to tell or not. But Brooke, knowing that Carter lied to trick Ridge and Stefy into signing over control of Forrester Creations and then not coming clean, that's the ultimate betrayal. And yet I feel like Brooke may keep the secret, because if she doesn't, Hope's going to accuse Brooke of betraying her and Carter and all the Logans. We've heard Hope and Carter get themselves all worked up. They've rationalized it that this corporate fraud that they're contemplating is the right thing to do because the people that own the company are, abusing the underdogs who work for them. But this is just wrong, flat out, and there's other ways they could approach it. For instance, Hope could sue Forrester Creations for wrongful termination. She could make a public stink about it. That might be distasteful, but it's legal. What they're doing now can only blow up in their faces long term. But, as of this week, the big question is, will Carter pull back before it's too late? And will Brooke come clean to the Forresters if he doesn't pull back? I just hope that maybe Carter and Brooke have an honest dialogue without Hope in the room and she can talk him down. But right now, it's all about Hope's influence on him and on her mother separately. And as of now, Hope is pressing them to the point that it seems certain they're about to set off a Logan and Forrester civil war that is going to change everything on Bold and the Beautiful.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.